Hi guys, it's Scott here from Swim People. Just in a conversation today with Lane Harrison from First Class Software. Lane and I go back a while now. We've connected and shared some ideas. Always enjoy my conversations with Lane. His expertise in that software space for swim schools. It doesn't matter the size, whether you're 250 or 300 pupils a week, all the way up to 4,000. Lane's 10 years of experience in this software space has certainly helped many swim schools improve their efficiency. So great to have you catch up with you again, Lane.
Thanks, Scott. Glad to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. I just thought maybe we could just walk through a few things as people are considering, should I be looking at software in my program? And I'm a great believer they should.
Yep.
They need to do that. Or should they be maybe changing? Maybe their current provider isn't really fulfilling what they need there in their world. So tell us a little bit how you got involved into developing software for swim schools.
Yeah, well, it probably wasn't my intention, Scott. I actually did a university degree in nutritional science. So I had a keen sports background and wanted to kind of focus on sports nutrition and things like that. So I did a degree in that. And then kind of during that process at university, started a little side business that was managing gyms. So
Yeah.
we were managing some gyms for some private schools here in Melbourne. Did my kind of fitness degree as well, which was a kind of not a degree, but a 1-year course to be able to do personal training and things like that, to just earn a little bit of extra money whilst I was doing my studies. So yeah, I was doing that business, and then just by luck, really, had a friend who had some other friends that had a software in America that was being used by gyms, and they were looking for someone who had a little bit of expertise in the gym space. So we connected with those people and had a chat, and they wanted me to potentially help, I guess, move their software into the Australian market. So that was really my introduction to software, and was lucky enough to be successful with that in bringing that software into Australia, into particularly the what I'd call the leisure space with big councils and things like that. So to cut a long story short, we then had a lot of customers using this software, and a lot of them had pools. A lot of our customers had pools linked to their gyms.
Yes.
In the leisure space. So they were having some particular challenges around their aquatics and their swim schools. And they basically asked us, well, you're doing our gym software. Is there anything for the swim school? And said, look, no, but let's have a chat. Let's see what some of your problems are, and let's see what we can maybe do. So that's when we started building our own swim school specific solution. And that was way back in 2014, 2015. So best part of 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my lead into the aquatic space. I had nothing to do with swim schools before that. But from the gym space, we had a big focus on customer retention. So that's one kind of concept we took and moved that into the swim school space as well. So now I've been doing stuff in the swim school space for the best part of 10 years. And yeah, we've been lucky to build First Class up to where it's being used in 9 countries now around the world. So yeah.
So 10 years and technology moves so fast, and especially, as I know, having been in the swim school space for a long time.
Yeah.
I think to the early days of writing things down on bits of paper and issuing tickets. But some of the current stuff that's trending out there that people should be aware of, which is happening now or potentially going to happen in the future. What do you see there?
Yeah, well, you're right. Like when we started, I remember going to a conference and the iPad had just been launched in America.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of our colleagues in America shipped an iPad to us, and the iPad hadn't actually been launched in Australia. So we went to a fitness conference, and I was holding this iPad, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, is that an iPad?"
Wow.
But you're right. Like that's how fast technology is, grown. We've gone from iPads to apps. So I think apps are a big thing that's kind of been happening the last 5 years, and that's really still becoming more mainstream. Not a lot of swim schools have an app. An increasing number do, but it's probably an area where it can improve the customer experience and reduce friction and things like that. But we're seeing kind of evolutions in apps as well, with things like push notifications. So, traditionally swim schools have communicated via email and SMS, but push notifications can add another layer of communication capability. And you can actually get really specifically targeted with your push notifications. So maybe I just want to push out a notification to let people that have lessons on a Tuesday between 5 and 7 a specific message. Maybe lessons can't be run then because of a problem with the pool. So that allows you to enhance that communication and that customer experience, where in the past you might be scrambling, if that scenario happens, to try and send out an email, or well, I know some swim schools would still now do that manually. They would try and bulk email and CC all their customers, and it's very kind of problematic and time consuming to do those kind of things. Another example is one-click payments. So your customers are all about convenience these days. So let's say I get my invoice from my swim school. Let's say it's for the term of swimming. Previously they might have had to get the bank details of the swim school, write that and type that in, check it, all the account details are right, send the payment. Maybe they wouldn't put a reference number, so the swim school has no idea who that payment was. It's just one big kind of headache. Now you've got things like Apple Pay, where you can just click with your phone with your Apple Wallet, and bang, the payment's done, the payment's reconciled as paid. So that, in terms of the customer experience, reduces friction and just makes it easier for the customer. We want to make things, we talk about the customer experience, and that's a differentiator. If it's a painful experience to enroll, register and pay, it's another reason why they might leave. It's probably not the only reason, but if the staff are unfriendly, if the child isn't progressing as much as they'd hoped, all these little things add up. So these are important things to consider in terms of the customer experience. The third thing that's probably coming is AI. So I think AI, we're building some AI now into our system, but I still think it's in the kind of a lot of hype at the moment, and you'll see things, technology trends. Often there's a real hype phase at the start,
right?
But the reality behind the scenes is that it's probably not as impactful as it's being made out, but it is becoming more powerful. Yes. And it's kind of a slow burn, and there'll be a tipping point where it really starts to take off and be impactful. Yeah. And that's coming. So that's where we're focusing a lot of time now. And the key is, AI needs to be impactful. It needs to give a tangible benefit. So
Yes.
providers need to work out where that is, where that opportunity lies. And I still think there's some learnings there to be had, but we'll see. A bit like apps and things like that, there was a slow burn, and now it's becoming much more mainstream and much more impactful. I think we'll see the same with AI over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, no, I think that, and that's what I, again, my reading, research, and listening is very clear on that. And software has taken the whole experience forward so much in a fairly short period of time for swim schools, and not just the customer. I see swim schools now are a lot more efficient and effective in their time.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've engaged with technology,
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things. And well, what else does kind of software helped in your eyes? You work in that space more than I do. What else has been helpful from technology for swim schools, Lane?
Yeah, I think there's probably three main things that come to mind, Scott. The obvious one, which you just mentioned, is saving time. So, I think people probably underestimate the amount of time that can be saved when you think of everything from invoicing to collecting payments to reconciling payments to doing assessments. There's all these kind of sub processes in a swim school. And often those processes, if you're not leveraging technology, can be really time consuming and labor intensive. So you're paying a staff member to do one of these processes manually. Like, I still see out in the field visiting swim schools like taking manual payments and even just taking casual payments, where, let's say you're coming to my swim school, Scott, and I'm getting you to pay your $15 each week to pay for your lesson. Like, that kind of model is so time consuming and old school. So you're having to pay staff to collect and manage all those processes. So we estimate there's, a swim school that's kind of not technology optimized is probably losing 15 to 30 hours a month in terms of admin time.
Yeah.
And if you put a cost on that, it's quite significant. So that's where there's a real case for finding the right technology solution to streamline a lot of those processes and make them a lot more efficient. The second one, which I think is overlooked a lot, is improving customer retention. So a good software should give you and arm you with tools and weapons to improve retention. We found that one of the biggest causes of dropout was parents feeling like they weren't getting enough feedback from their swim school about the progress of a child. So parents would feel like in the dark, is my child making any progress? Have been in the same level for the last 6 months. Maybe we should go and try this other swim school down the road. So a lot of swim schools don't give feedback to parents because it's just too hard. It's just too laborsome. But with the right technology, that process can be really, fairly quick and easy. You can have, tablets where you've got your class up on a single page. You can just pop in some assessment or grading results, and that immediately goes to the customer's app or on their smartphone or their customer portal. So that process becomes a lot more streamlined and effective. It's also important to have reporting on things to do with retention, like your actual retention rates, because typically what gets measured improves. So if you're not measuring retention, if you don't know what your attrition rates are each month, you're kind of in the dark. But
Yeah.
if swim schools just did one thing, if they just measured that, they'd probably see an improvement because it's at the forefront of their focus. So, and that kind of segues into the final point, which is providing actionable insights. You capture a lot of data in a swim school system, but is that data in reports that provide insights? Can you easily look at your retention rates? Can you easily know how many active students you have now compared to last year? Can you easily check out your occupancy across different days? There's all these things that can provide insights to optimize and improve your business. If you're in the dark or it's hard to kind of pull out that information, it's not easy to know what action you need to take next. So I think insights through reporting become really valuable.
Yeah, well, again, the reporting, going back to point one, saving time, reporting alone must save a lot of time.
Yeah, well, I know some councils we've worked with in the past, like they would spend like days trying to pull out data from their old systems to try and understand, you know, which students had been in the same level for a long time, for example. So, yeah, these kind of things can take seconds with the right reports that take days or a half day.
Yeah. So from your experience, over the time you've been there and the number of clients you've worked with and the different sizes of swim schools you've worked with across 9 different countries, you must have some very clear, I suppose, understanding and belief of what should a swim school consider when they're looking for the right software? Because you've heard it not just from your local swim school, but far and wide. Well, what are some of those things that they should consider?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think before even looking at a software, I think you really need to understand your needs. So what are you trying to improve on? So is your enrollment process very clunky and time consuming? Is your payment process kind of, clunky? Are there certain reports that are really important to you? Unless you understand those things first, where is your pain? Where are you suffering? And what does an ideal solution look like? It's silly starting that search before you actually know that. So we want to, not put the cart before the horse kind of thing.
Yes.
So once you understand that, I think you can then start to make a little bit of a short list and try and identify 2, maybe 3 options that are worth exploring more. Obviously, looking at a website, you're not going to get a lot of information. I'd recommend booking a guided demo with a representative from a software company because they can answer your questions, they can show you specific things and really give you a better idea. Is this software going to fit our needs? And not necessarily every software, like different softwares have different strengths. So one that might suit another swim school may not be the right fit for you, depending on your model, depending on how you operate things. So it's important to really get a deep understanding to try and find the best fit. And then I would say, if you're finding a fit or something you think's a high degree of fit, then you want to start your due diligence. So ask for some references, ask for 3 or 4 contacts in your state or country that you can have a chat to. So you can see behind the scenes and, understand how it's worked for them and potentially learnings that they had. Maybe they had learnings from their onboarding that they can pass on to you. So that would kind of be my suggested process to find the best fit. I think some people, if they skip steps in that process and rush into things, they might end up with something that is okay, but it's not the ideal fit.
Yeah.
And then they might end up in the situation 12 months down the track where they're thinking, look, do we pull the plug and start again? And you've wasted all of this time and effort, training staff, all of that, and you're back to the starting point. So getting it right, investing the time, I think is a really good way to go.
Yeah, you can't just kind of copy what a mate is doing in a different state or a different country, because their situation is different to yours.
Potentially,
so you really need to do that due diligence yourself, which does take time, but well worth it. That's what I'm hearing from you. It's well worth it. Take it there, and as you said, get a demo. A website will give you some information, but go deeper than that. Don't be scared to make contact, and then help you on that. From there. And your software, First Class Software, the tagline's retention focused class management. Kind of maybe just share a little bit more, explain that a little bit more to me and the people listening.
Yeah. So as I kind of touched on at the start, in my previous role with gyms, we had a real focus on retention. So retention is all about retaining the customers that you already have for longer. We've found that a lot of swim schools focus on marketing and customer acquisition and are good at getting customers, but they may have a poor retention rate. So they have a lot of cancellations, and it's kind of like a leaky bucket. You're pouring water in, but you've got a big hole in it, and we actually see a lot of swim schools, they're not realizing that, like, their student numbers are staying the same, but they're working so hard to bring in each month a lot of new customers, but they're still losing a lot of customers, and they're kind of just in this equilibrium. But as the market matures and things get a little bit more competitive, that marketing and acquisition channels can kind of start to slow up a little bit. As things get more competitive, it becomes more expensive to market. So these swim schools will suddenly realize, oh, our numbers are kind of declining. Well, why is that? And it's because they've got a retention problem. So our philosophy is that swim schools, once they reach a critical mass, their biggest focus should be on having excellent customer retention, because it's the best way and most efficient way to run a profitable swim school. Because if you have high retention, you don't have to spend heaps on marketing. You usually have happy, raving fan customers that are putting a word of mouth out there. So that's probably feeding your acquisition from there. So it becomes a much more profitable way to run a swim school. A lot also don't realize how little improvements in retention can have a big impact. We're talking over 3, 4, 5 years, it could add 100,000+ to their bottom line just by improving their retention rate a little bit. So there's a big lever there to pull to improve their overall situation and profitability. So when we say retention focused, our software is just not about managing their bookings and payments and communication. Yes, it does all of those things, but it has a focus on giving you the tools and the reporting and analytics to really master that area of retention. And our thoughts are, if swim schools do that, they're going to be successful. And if swim schools are successful, ultimately we see business as a value exchange. So we want to create as much value for swim schools as possible. The way we can do that is by helping them improve their retention as much as possible.
Yeah. Certainly needs to be a focus on any swim school. And from my experience, the quality and the best performing swim schools have a retention focus. As you mentioned, it's a lever, and they do look at that to say, this is part of our lever system to have a profitable swim school business.
Yep.
So Lane, that's great. So just to wrap up, how can people get hold of you and the First Class Software people?
Yeah, so best way to reach out is probably just have a check out of our website to start with. So that's firstclassretention.com. And then if you go to the swim school tab, that will take you to where you need to go. So yeah, have a look at our website. And then if you like what you see, I'd recommend reaching out to booking a guided demo with our team, and one of our team can take you through all the ins and outs so you can really get a good idea. Can we add value? Are we the right fit for your particular swim school?
Yeah, that certainly suggest they do that, especially, exploring what's the best fit. What I took out of our discussion, what's the best fit for them, and explore it. Look at the opportunity. Don't close their mind to say, no, it's not going to work for us, because what you can share on a website is part of it. Let's have a conversation.
Yep.
Hey, great to chat, Lane.
Thanks, Scott. It's been good.
We'll do that again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.